Welcome to What in the World, a project initiated by Hungry for Life International. Today's podcast is titled The Latest Trip, Kenya, and Jess will be interviewing Lauri Alward. So grab your headphones, sit back, relax, and listen as they talk about the projects we have in Kenya, along with other hot topics regarding poverty there.
All right. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the What in the World podcast, initiated by Hungry for Life, where we talk about all things nonprofit. So today we have Lauri Alward here, and she is here on staff at Hungry for Life as a project manager. So, hi.
Hi.
Yeah. It's always nice to see people in person. Mm-hmm. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, yeah. No problem. So Lauri just recently got back from a trip to Kenya. Mm-hmm. So she's going to discuss a little bit of her findings, her discoveries. So Lauri, first of all, tell us, let's back the train up a little bit. Mm-hmm. How long have you been at Hungry for Life?
I started in 2016. I was actually on payroll.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, and you have been a PM the whole time?
Yeah.
Which countries have you project managed?
Mostly Kenya. Okay. But then I picked up Guatemala and most recently Uganda.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how did you come to Hungry for Life?
We moved to British Columbia in 2007, and in 2009 we went on our first trip with Hungry for Life with the Hillside Gang, and I was pretty hooked with Hungry for Life's model and what we saw happening. So I went again and again and again, and every time I went, I took on a little bit more responsibility, and then by 2014, I recognized I needed to make the jump to staff, so then you start preparing to do that. 2015 was sort of a building year, and then on to staff in 2016.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, we're happy. Mm-hmm. We're happy you're here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
So you just did a recent trip with Jason, Adam. Mm-hmm. Those are the only two other staff that went, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. How was that? Was it fun?
Yeah.
Good to travel again?
Oh, it was so good to travel again.
What was it like getting through borders and stuff?
Not bad. Just a little bit of extra paperwork and trying to anticipate what it is that they want because, it's all different, new. Each country needs a different piece of paper.
Was it?
But it was okay. We were ready.
The post-COVID, well, are we post-COVID? I don't know yet. But was that part of it tricky to get through?
Just each country. Well, I mean, it wasn't bad because Turkey, we just sort of went in and out. So it was just nice. Okay. Kenya. They had sort of said in the paperwork that we read ahead of time that they needed this very specific piece of paperwork done, which we did, which they never did ask for.
Oh,
so
really?
It's sort of like
as it goes.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
As it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. But we had everything we needed, and it went pretty smoothly.
Good.
You get your temperature taken 17,000 times, and.
And did the guys drive you crazy, Adam and Jason?
No. Oh. No, they were great.
Oh, here, I was trying to get some dirt.
See, Adam's my hillside buddy.
He is your hillside buddy.
Yeah, he and I have traveled a lot together. So, I enjoyed both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole gang that was on the trip was...
Yeah, we had a couple extra friends with us traveling from BC.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Volunteer staff.
That's right. Okay, I do want to get into what it's like to go on a monitoring trip and kind of walk through all the projects that you went to monitor, not assess, because there are field partners. But I want to give our audience a good, as much as possible, a good picture of what it's like being in Kenya. So can you paint for us a picture of the sights, of the sounds, of the smells? What's it like hopping off the plane in Nairobi? Give us a bit of a picture there.
Hopping off the plane in Nairobi. Nairobi is quite on high elevation, so it's cooler than you might think. And it is a major metropolis, so it's seriously noisy, busy, lots of traffic, people walking everywhere. There's buses and trains, and everybody's going everywhere. And the smell of diesel, I think, is the overwhelming thought of Kenya, of Nairobi, is
diesel.
It smells of diesel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember for some reason when I was in Nairobi, there was foam everywhere on the streets. I have no idea where it came from. It looked like a foam party, bubbles everywhere.
Oh.
At all the streets.
Oh.
No, not
Not in my experience. No.
I don't know what was happening. Maybe there was a party.
Maybe there was
We just
something.
missed it.
You just
I
missed
don't
the
know.
bubble party. I don't know.
It was quite bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the ladies who were on that trip are listening to this, and if they remember. I need them to drop a comment to let me know what that was, because it was very strange. I don't remember diesel though,
Yeah.
but that does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The yellow jerry cans everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The trucks just belching black fumes of.
Yeah, and I remember I was shocked at how metropolis it was. Like, you don't think of Nairobi to be...
It's a huge city.
Yep.
It's a busy city. And they're really busy building. They've built some, in the time when we first went to now, they've built some major thoroughfares and some major ring roads. And right now they're putting through a huge interchange that's just going to change traffic there. The drivers are so excited about this new overland road that's going in, that's going to really speed traffic up through the city. So
That'll be handy.
yeah. Yeah. So
What do you think would be a surprising thing for somebody who's never been to Kenya, who might have a certain picture of what's painted here of what Nairobi is, or Kenya is like? I remember we posted a video of you guys buying chicken, KFC, for the kids.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's KFC. Why wouldn't there be?
yeah.
Is there any, what kind of food chains are there that's surprising?
I can't say that I really hang around to too many of the,
You don't
of the
like
chains.
go on a
so
culinary tour of...
there is one Starbucks in Nairobi. I have not yet found it, but there is apparently one Starbucks in Nairobi.
I'll go Starbucks. Okay.
Other than that,
Yeah.
no Tim Hortons or anything. But KFC is it's kind of a big deal there. They love their
That was really cute to
fried
see
chicken.
that video.
Yeah. Those kids.
Yeah.
If you were there, it was unbelievable. It was like 50 tiny little children going. It just sounded like a rainstorm. It was the
so
most
cute.
amazing thing. It was
Chewing that you're not annoyed of hearing?
No,
Yeah.
it was it was so cute.
Yeah.
But yeah. That being said, Nairobi's not a great example. Like every
No,
area that
yeah.
we went to
Right.
was distinctly different. Siaya is very, very hot, very dry, and Kakamega is very lush, very, very humid, and so each region has its own.
Well, then let's step into that for a sec. So, you guys landed in Nairobi, and obviously we don't have field. Martha, is she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah.
So one of our partners is in Nairobi.
Yeah.
But we also have some in a few other districts. Is that what we call them?
Yeah, regions.
Regions.
Areas.
And so
Cities.
can you walk us through, actually maybe for those listening who don't know what a monitoring trip entails, what do you go to do?
Basically, we go to meet with the partners and just check up on how things are going and make sure that everybody's doing all right, that the funds are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and that the partners are doing well, that they're not struggling in any way that we can relieve or alleviate. And yeah, just see everybody, and it's good. It's good to do a monitoring trip.
Yes. Yeah, like for example, if somebody sends a receipt for a motorcycle,
Yeah.
like they have no motorcycle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
things
be a
like
problem.
It's happened before.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay, so where was your first stop? So location, partner, and project.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to blank out here. So we went, first we
okay.
stopped in Nairobi and visited with Martha and the kids. And then we trekked on down to Siaya region, went to Yogo and visited with Silas and the schools down there. Did a little tour around there to see what was going on, what was new, how things are progressing. And while we were there, we visited the homes of 20 women, while the guys wandered off and did lots of looks at capital investments and farms and things. Yeah. And that, like I said before, that region is in the middle of a drought. It's a tough, very impoverished area. Not the poorest area in Kenya by any means, but it is a tough area. So it was really good to meet these women and be able to provide them with some consistent relief and some help for their kids and things like that, and to provide the funds to help build their schools further.
Can you paint a bit of a picture of what that region is like compared to Nairobi? So we just came from the metropolis to Siaya, which is more you said there's a drought happening,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what's the landscape like? What is the general feel of the people there? What's the situation over there? Paint the sight, sound, and smell again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Siaya is the Siaya district is a little it's lower. It's the elevation is lower, so it's a hotter. It's definitely the hottest of the places that we go to. It's surprisingly green for a place that's constantly under drought, but it's dry. The crops fail regularly, so that's not great. People live very simply. They live in mud homes. They're very hand to mouth. The smell, I don't know. It's beautiful. It's just fresh air and blue sky and
Right. It's a bit different. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And so we did just talk to Silas because he was here. We did a whole
Yeah.
podcast
yeah.
that we released a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
How are the rest of the projects doing there?
Good. So the water project, as always, is struggling a little bit, but the community is still getting water. So we're working towards getting it back up on its feet. It's kind of a contrast. We've got the community's in drought, but the river's in flood stage. It's kind of crazy, but
Okay.
yeah. So the pump is flooded out and is not operating right now. So we have to somehow move it further up the shore so that it can
Okay.
begin to pump water again. So yeah, so there's that. Other than that, the schools are both, they're struggling. Everybody there is struggling right now with hunger and lack of work, and
Is that as a result of
yeah, the drought
The drought?
and
Okay.
and the restrictions.
Okay.
The restrictions have really hurt people.
yeah.
So the restrictions have been pretty much lifted now, and life's kind of returning to normal as far as economically, but still people have been set back so far,
Right.
that it's hard to crawl forward again from
When you're
that.
already living hand to mouth,
Yeah.
and then you get these restrictions slapped on you,
Yeah.
you can't put your hands out there to get food for your mouth, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So
okay.
lots of people who would normally pay tuition to Silas for school and the bus and everything else, they're not able. So the schools are running on a pretty lean budget right now.
Okay.
So yeah, but they're doing well. I mean, they're doing okay. You heard Silas has told you they're doing okay.
Yeah.
God's providing.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then, so, remind me, Siaya is a short flight, but how long did you guys drive or fly from Nairobi?
Yeah, we flew. It's a 1-hour flight to a city called Kisumu, which is
Yeah.
the third largest city in Kenya.
Right.
And then we drove for an hour and a half
To Siaya.
in the dark
Oh, did you?
to Siaya.
Yikes. And then from Siaya, did you go to Kakamega?
Yeah, we drove up to Kakamega, and there we spent time with our partner Everlyn Mbenzi and the Mbenzi Foundation, and we went around to 65 families in that area.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a busy schedule.
It was busy.
Yeah.
It was busy. So we saw lots of the wells that we've dug, the boreholes, and met lots of the families. We had a day where we gathered all the women together in a tent in the yard and just celebrated with them. And we heard wonderful stories and we heard hard stories. And yeah, it's a step-by-step process of helping these women.
Right.
And their
Yeah.
families.
And so our listeners know, in Kakamega, our project is widow care, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else other than there's widow and there's like the boreholes and wells that have been built
Yeah.
or dug, I should say. That's all, right?
They do hygiene teachings at schools and
Right.
provide reusable hygiene products.
Days for Girls.
It's not the Days for Girls
Okay.
brand, but but it is hygiene
yeah.
teaching, and they also have, beyond the hampers, we do tuition for the kids. All the kids are in school.
Okay.
Healthcare, we provide healthcare for the families.
Yeah.
They just started spiritual groups. We do agricultural training, and all the women have just started co-op farms where a little
Cool.
group of them are working together on one piece of land and reaping the harvest and deciding what to do with the funds that they receive from it. So it's a very holistic, rather than just providing food, it's a holistic. The latest thing that we're looking at is continuing education for the women, to help some of the women improve their reading skills.
Okay.
Yeah, and then more further business training for the women. And we did a business training for the teachers, and now we're looking at implementing it with the women who are in the program.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put you on the spot,
Okay.
so you don't have to answer.
Okay.
But, is there a certain woman, widow, whose story sticks out to you, of kind of like a success story, for lack of better words? Of, I know Voice of Hope has heavily invested in these ladies.
Yeah.
And back in 2015, when I went, I think around there. I'm curious to know if any of those ladies have continued on, done more business. Is there anyone that stands out to you?
Yeah. Is there anybody that you particularly that stands out? I mean, I can tell you stories.
Oh my goodness! I mean, there's the Margarets. There's a couple Margarets.
There are.
One stuck in my mind, and I'm wondering if she's still around. I think she had I feel like five or
girls, daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's had a pretty constant parade of sisters, kids, and cousins and nephews, and she's had a pretty constant. Now she's got grandchildren, so her home is still very busy. She has not jumped way ahead. She's not one of the women. She's one of the women that's moving step by step.
Okay.
Did you meet Mila? Did you meet Mila when you were there? Mila lived in a tiny little house with a thatch roof.
I can't put a face to it at the moment, but the name I remember seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, Mila she's a young woman, 3 kids, and she's just really had a vision of where she's going, and she's done really well. So we've been helping her open a hair salon. And so we got her some training, and we gave her a couple of business boosts, and she's built a little salon in her yard. And so we gave her a hair dryer, and she went ahead and got power to her house. And so every time we've made a step, she's made a step, and it's just been really good.
She's met us.
Yeah. So she's now just receiving tuition for her children. She's no longer receiving a hamper because she's able to support herself in that way.
Amazing.
And so she's got steady clientele. And Christmas, who doesn't get their hair done for Christmas?
Of course.
And the kids all have to have all the school children have to have their heads shaved. So it's kind of a big deal that when they go back to school, they have to have their heads shaved. Right. So this year we bought her a shaver, hair clippers, so that she can get in on that bonanza income in her neighborhood. Yeah. So she's doing well.
We're really proud of her. We're really proud of how she's had a vision, and she's working towards it.
So when you say a boost, what is that?
Sometimes it's just a little bit of financial help. You can buy hair.
You can buy hair.
You can buy hair.
Okay.
So like hair extensions,
I got you.
and so they'll have just short hair, but they'll put these extensions on and do these elaborate hairdos. So we helped her. We bought her some hair. We bought her some shampoo. We bought her,
So this is not, just for clarification for our listeners, a boost is not necessarily, it's not like a microfinance, it's not a loan.
No.
It's
a gift.
It's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But the beautiful part of what you just said is you give her a gift and she meets you with action.
Yeah.
So,
and a step of her own.
Yeah.
That's been the great thing, seeing that every time she's had extra money, she's spent it wisely, invested into the business so that she can build it further.
So what do you do with the ladies who don't meet you with that next step?
You just keep loving them and keep encouraging them and keep finding a way that we can help them. And I think that's the thing with the business training is that, a lot of these women don't have the vision to be able to say, this is what I could do, this is what I'd like to do. So this business training is a real opportunity for them to just sit and listen to the Lord and ponder, what are my skill sets, what could I do, what's in my neighborhood. And the sort of the takeaway from talking to people who went through the training was sell a solution. And so it's
everyone needs their hair done.
Helping the women find a need in their community that they can sell a solution for, and that will help them. Yeah, because right now it's like, I want to sell tomatoes. Well, everybody in the world is selling tomatoes, so it's finding what your community needs.
Right. So for the ladies who you just encourage and love, are there no's? Do you have to tell them no to a gift?
Yep, we have. We had one woman who suggested that we should buy her a posho mill, which is a flour grinding. It's a pretty significant. It's like $40,000.
Okay.
And we were like, well, we were thinking more like $50. So it was. We have had to say no, and we have had to help them, work toward their dream in a step. Not. I expect us to.
Yeah,
reach the end target.
Well, absolutely. Like Mila, thank you, is a great example of showing proactivity and not squandering. And which kind of leads me to my another question, which is, what do you feel might be a systemic problem in Kenya that's like hindering growth and like a barrier for these women? What might be something that is causing them to not take a step forward?
I talked with the partners about this a little bit, and overall, they said the biggest systemic problem in Kenya is, of course, corruption.
That is a theme.
Yeah. So the money is there at the top, but by the time it's passed through everybody's hands, and they each take 5 shillings off and put it in their pocket, then by the time it actually reaches the ground. So how that plays out, I think, for these women is it's sort of in the same fold as our provision, our help. We were surprised. This trip we asked the women what their level of education were, and we were surprised by how many, even of the younger women, have 0 education, like nothing, never spent a day in school. So education, for sure, is a holdback for women. Nutrition. Poorly nourished people do not do well in school.
Right.
So even if you are in school, it's hard to do well. I think that what was my other one? I had healthcare. Healthcare is another big one. If you're constantly suffering from malaria or typhoid or any of the things that are just going around all the time, and you have no ability, the medication for malaria is like 50 cents, but so many people just plain old can't afford that. So just to eliminate those things, to make sure that people have a basic amount of food, that they're in school, and that they have the basic health care that they need. It may not change things for Maggie, but it will change things for Maggie's children.
Right.
And we have lots of women in the program that we know. We're just helping them to age gracefully, and helping their grandchildren to change their lives. Yeah.
So who holds? So it's all stemming from corruption, right? So who holds the power? The government?
Yeah, and they had what they call a devolution, and they moved the government down to different levels, and they thought that might help, but it's still what it is.
So I know, for example, in Haiti, there's 5 families who hold a lot of power and all the money in the country. Would that be similar to Kenya? Are there certain groups of people other than government, or is it mostly just like kind of stemming from them? It's not stopping at families, it's stopping at government?
I think a little of both.
Okay.
And this is going to be a big year because, the Kenyatta family has been in control of the country for a long time, and this year Kenyatta is not stepping up for election. So it's going to be a big change for Kenya, and to see what happens next. And they've stuck to their guns on a lot of policies, which has been good, the government, and they've got things in place to stop some of the corruption. So we'll see what happens. So.
Are elections a threat in Kenya? Like, is there a threat for riots? Yeah,
it can be very, very tribal.
Okay.
It can be very tribal, and this year could be as well. It's next August when the actual election is, so it could be. We just have to prayerfully wait and see. Yeah.
How does compassion play a role in life change? I mean, we're talking about
nutrition and healthcare and all these kind of things, and education taking a role in life change. But what about compassion? Because that's a lot of what we do here at Hungry for Life. How does that play into it?
I think it undergirds everything. I mean, I think that there's people that you meet that you would say maybe aren't deserving of our help, but you have compassion on them and you help them and you see lives change. You know, I think that, yeah, I think it's in everything. I think it's in all our decisions, all the decisions that we make for each woman. Each woman is treated as an individual, and her needs are met individually, her family's needs are met individually, and I think compassion's a big part of that.
Do they like when you come?
They love it. They love it. They were like so happy to see us. They were, and we were like, it's good. Everyone's got it. You guys have been all right. And they were so happy to see us.
Were they?
They were so happy to see us. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any stories from your most recent trip that kind of stand out to you as even just something small? Was there anything that kind of stuck in your brain?
I sat with one of the women, Mary, and she's an elder woman. And just talked with her about what she had done in her life. Sometimes we don't have time. Sometimes we're moving pretty fast. But this particular day, I had time to sit and talk with her. And she listed off the things that she had accomplished in her life. She was born in the 40s, in the early 40s. So you think about it. And, I mean, women's rights, none. And yet this woman accomplished so much. She was a teacher at one point. She was a midwife. She worked at a hospital catching babies and washing them, and I was just like, Mary, that's so awesome. And then she worked as a tour operator, and she had a certificate in typing, and she worked doing that for a while, and then she raised her children, and it was amazing to hear her story, from Kenya in the 1940s to today. To hear what all she had experienced. It was pretty special. Yeah, it was pretty special to sit with her.
Always good to go get a different perspective, hey? Yeah. Well, thanks for sitting down and sharing about your last trip. I was very curious to know how it went. So, yeah. That's all I wanted to ask you, Lauri. So, okay. I'm going to say that's a wrap.
All right.
Thanks for listening to What in the World, where we seek to educate and inspire. Here at Hungry for Life, we are passionate about your group having a global impact in eradicating needless suffering. For more information, head over to our website at hungryforlife.org, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you may listen to podcasts. Tune in every other week for another conversation about what is happening at Hungry for Life.